All right, it's time for an update on this 35 Roadster. It's looking more like a car. So JB, what's going on? This Roadster is starting to come together. It's starting to look like a car.
Yeah, it is. It goes pretty slowly up to a certain point, and then it goes even slower. That's typically the way they're built. We're real conscious of door fitment, gaps, and that sort of thing, which is extraordinarily difficult on a Roadster because it's a round car as opposed to the earlier cars that are typically
You're dealing
flat
with multiple planes.
Exactly.
Okay.
So what we learned a long time ago was that this is the most important part of it. The way these are bronze hinges. We have them made for us. They are ductile, so we can actually bend the hinge itself if we want to turn the door a certain way.
Okay.
We don't have to worry about the metal being so strong that we can't form it. Bronze is really good in that way, in the sense that it is a little bit soft, and so it'll allow you to bend it, and when it's in a finished position, you can actually take it out and get it plated very easily. Some people use just bronze hinges because they're beautiful. But it's an exterior hinge toward the end of that type of hinge arrangement, and a number of people go with hidden hinges. Some people like that look. I don't think it makes a lot of difference, to be honest. From 8 feet away, you can't really tell the difference, but in hiding the hinges, you have to get into a completely different mechanism, which is complicated, expensive, and labor intensive. So we tend to shy away from them. You can always retrofit them with hidden hinges if you like, but we don't want to be a party to that. It just takes a long time.
It occurs to me that the bottom of this panel is sunken in more, so these pins have to be on the same plane.
Exactly.
So this one's tucked in more than that one?
Right, and if you notice, this one comes out further than this one because it has to stay in alignment.
Right.
This is probably the most complicated part of this whole car, and maybe one of the most complicated relationships I've ever seen in an automobile, because you know, it's different today. You have flat cars with flat panels, and lining them up is a different thing altogether than trying to match what essentially looks like a broken egg.
Yeah, right.
And you've got to put all the pieces back together such that you can't tell that there's a change in the lines. And since Balthazar's done a number of these, he's gotten really good at getting it right very early on, because this can be a really very labor-intensive operation if you're not careful.
So looks like you've got a frame here. It doesn't have an engine or any running gear.
Right. This is just an old original chassis that we used for mocking the car up, and Balthazar and I talked about this earlier, where he's concerned that this is going to be different than the frame it's going to end up on.
So this is not the frame that this body's going to end up on?
No, this is just a mock-up chassis we keep around for the purpose of putting all the panels together on something that assimilates the chassis it's going to wind up on. Fortunately or unfortunately, it's going to be on an original Ford chassis. It's not going to be an aftermarket chassis, is my understanding. They already have the front end, that's why we're not creating it. Our stuff is good enough where you can actually blend the Ford-made parts of the car to the American Fiberglass parts seamlessly. So that's what he's going to be charged with doing. He takes his steel front end on his standard chassis, 35 chassis, and he'll simply put this body on and get rid of the four-door body, and he's got a Roadster in a very short period of time.
Okay, so your customer has a four-door
car that he's using the front clip on.
Okay, I see.
And the back of it goes away.
I see.
And then the Roadster comes in.
This is a four-door-to-roadster conversion package.
It is.
In a way.
You know, that's going for a higher calling.
Yeah, I got you.
As a four-door sedan, I had a friend who used to ask, when I brought in a four-door sedan, I'd say, you know, he'd pretend to not know what it was, and he'd say, "Hey, what's that thing worth?" And I'd say, "Well, I don't know. What do you think?" He said, "What does it weigh?" That was a real nasty way of saying it wasn't worth much.
Right.
And four-door sedans are really, in my mind, really good donors of various parts on them that can be used on Roadsters and cabriolets and coupes. So we certainly don't want to be thrown away, and we've tried to preserve a lot of the original material. But Ford had a problem in the sense that the factories that made all of the 35 and 6 cars, and pretty much all the cars that they built in that era, were built in different plants. And so the fenders that they built in one city wouldn't be the same as the fenders in another city. So you have
Okay.
we have this cross pollination going on over all these years, and everybody's wondering why nothing fits.
Right.
Well, it's because
Yeah.
they're made in different factories. Then this
Sure.
guy takes the fender off, a back east factory and from a West Coast factory, and they graft the whole thing together. And of course, you got a mishmash, and you're lucky if it looks like the same car.
Yeah, and my understanding also is that dyes that are in use, they wear out over time.
They do.
And so you could have a dye in one factory that's fresher than the one in another factory, and so it's not going to be the same.
No, it's not going to be the
there,
same. And
even if they started out.
as the dyes age,
Right.
you got to remember that the dyes are made with a projection of a number of body stampings being made, and that sometimes is way off the mark.
Sure.
A lot of misunderstandings in restoration about cars that, for instance, factory, they're not all seeing. They would order 40,000 of something,
Yeah.
let's say from a vendor, and then they sell 60,000 cars. What are you going to do? You're just going to stop?
You're gonna keep going, yeah.
No, you're going to reorder. You're going to investigate what you did in the first 40,000 that could be changed and upgraded perhaps. So you do that, and now years later, people are wondering why this doesn't fit that. It's because they weren't made anywhere close to the same time frame, sometimes not even by the same people.
So with your best practice, there still might be some fitting to do when everything comes together.
Absolutely will be some fitting, and we alerted them to that effect, but transporting a chassis clear across country and back is an expensive proposition now.
Well, let's just have another further look here, because last time we saw this, it was just pieces
Right.
that have
I
now
wanted
been
to show you
put
inside
together.
the door here, the kind of care that we go through
Okay.
in order to make the doors fit properly and to keep them fitting. One of our most important things to consider on a Roadster is that the top's cut off, and so therefore it's kind of a flyaway. The chassis is not reinforced
Right.
like it would be, for instance, in some General Motors
Yeah,
cars.
fixed roof, it has a structure.
Well, they just cut the top off and expected the car to act the same. Of course, it can't be the same because
Right.
it has no top. It has no structural integrity. This whole area here is gone.
Right.
So now this car, quite obviously, wants to flex where the top used to prevent it from flexing. And if you notice, what we have to do is put these rather large steel plates, or these are actually 2x2 3/16 angle that bridges that gap so that the twisting is minimalized.
Oh, so, okay.
And otherwise, this body goes down the road like this.
Sure. Okay.
In fact, I remember the first one I built without this, and it actually pinched my arm. That's how it talked to me and said, "Hey, it was going like this. It was opening and closing
No
right
kidding.
right here between these two panels."
Oh, wow.
So I had my handle here and my arm here, and it
Yeah,
grabbed me and
that
said,
didn't
"Hey,
feel good."
this is not working." So we came up with this. Also, the doors sag over time, and it's very difficult because this is like a piece of an egg is the best way to describe it. You know how complicated an egg is in cross section. The Roadster is the same way. So what we got here is an alignment problem, and we need some way to draw this corner in. We got nothing here holding this corner. Okay, you can
Right.
put all the flat panels you want in here. We need some way to pull this thing in, and that's what that's the reasoning behind this turnbuckle right here. It pulls this corner down to that corner and draws that corner into the car. No Ford that I ever saw built by Henry ever incorporated that, but he was really only concerned about making them, not taking care of them.
Yeah.
This allows you to draw that door corner back into the car body where it belongs, even 2 or 3 years down the road. Another problem with Roadsters, especially, is that there's no, if you hang a fiberglass or a fiberglass door on a fiberglass cowl, you have that obvious flexing going on. Okay, so you've lost some integrity there. And so what we did, we built this. This is tied into this, then this will be drilled, and this 1/4-inch steel plate will be inserted in behind the hinge, and then that will be welded to this once it's in place.
Okay.
Additionally, we have a piece that goes over the cowl to allow you to mount air conditioning and modern types of equipment.
Okay.
So that also has the American Eagle in it. So if you notice over on the door panel there, and everywhere you look, we've got the American Eagles in it, not because we got self-identity problems, but because when we make these cars, we want to make certain that this isn't confused with someone else's car.
Okay.
People try to take credit for another car that was built somewhere else and claim it's one of ours. It happens all the time. And it's just not the way it should be. They're completely different. I won't speak to the quality, it's not my place, but clearly everybody wants to be us and they're not.
Yeah, so you've got a way to kind of identify your work.
And each Roadster and 3-window will be identified by serial number. And there'll be a serial number plate put on the cowl on the driver's side so that the customer can be assured that it was built here. And if it's sold, then its lineage is preserved, and the guy buying, the subsequent guy, will know where it was built, and he can call us with technical information and that sort of thing.
Very
but
cool.
This really is very important to the door hinge, because the door has a lot of leverage, as you notice. You can pull down the door and bend the whole body with the door. Yeah. So we got to have steel up in here, not wood like some of the manufacturers did in the past, because wood rots and doesn't have a lot of integrity.
Interesting.
So I mean, our cars literally will last for decades, if not generations.
So you're going to ship this thing with all the body panels fitted, complete. Right. Are you fitting it with? You're sending it with the roof components?
Yeah, the folding top. If you notice right here, we have the pickup points for the folding top. That's built into a framework back here. Okay. Because that's exactly where that top needs to emanate. Okay. And our molds are marked so that we can get that right in the right spot, because this folding top has to come up and hit the top of that windshield. It's a very complicated relationship. Interesting. And if it's off at all, it's not going to work. Yeah. So it's very important for it to be extremely accurate, and in order for it to work. And we'll get to that stage of it. Another thing we've added is this panel right here, this package tray, which would normally just be a flyaway thing, for instance, in a stock car, is now reinforcing the entire car. You notice it also has a return down here, so that it's incredibly rigid, because it's really holding the whole back of the car together. Okay. That was not the case in an original. Yeah, so it's a real structural addition. It's a structural member that's really necessary to keep the car from flexing. Because once we get it, we want to stay there, and we want to have structural integrity. Right. Very good. The other thing is the damage resistance of these panels. Watch this. Let me show you something. Okay. Do that as hard as you want. Right. Cannot hurt that panel. Right. It's the whereas same shape, no metal scratches. Plate would just and some forms of fiberglass, frankly, are brittle. Yeah. This is an elastomeric resin that we use, the same thing that we use in molds, because it has that ability to withstand heat and torture and impact. So we use it to make our car bodies out of as well. And we've like the tour car we built in 2005 for Street Rodder magazine, it actually fell off the trailer. Oh. It took us 3 hours to fix it. Wow. Seriously. That's crazy. We matched the color, put it back on the trailer, and it kept going. Wow. Wasn't any big deal. And that's because there's some forethought goes into it. A regular car would have been really badly damaged. Right. But because it has that impact resistance built into it, and the color is built into it, it's intrinsic to the body. Yeah. We're not just talking about 6 or 7 mils of paint. This has a tenuous connection. This is built right into the construction. Yeah, it's like it's called gel coat, right? Gel coat. It's the same thing you use in a boat or an aircraft, or about 10 times thicker than regular paint. Yeah, or something. It's very thick, very elastomeric. Has the ability to withstand impact, abrasion, all kinds of things. Yeah. And you can get a giant scratch in this and simply sand it out and go on about your business. That's amazing. All right, this is a good overview. Thank you. You bet.